Oh, man. Here we go again. Here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. This guy named Bunsu Thompson is the reason we're all here. The guy with the glasses on that you're looking at. He's a writer. I think he did Story Avenue or something. He's got a podcast show. He be on Sway and Tech and all this. And this man that you see in front of you, Bunsu, came up with some fungu and created a narrative. I don't know where he got this narrative from. That Biggie was dissing LL Cool J on I Shot You. Yeah, subscribe, hit the like, notification bell, all that. With everything they say in the banner, you know, please do. And don't forget to join my Patreon, like it says in the banner, Carcino for Life on the Patreon. Now, this guy said Biggie was dissing LL Cool J when he said, new school, old school, new school, need to learn new. On the Who Shot You song. That was a shot at LL Cool J. Why would that be a shot at LL Cool J? Who said that? You see, this is what I talk about all the time with people changing narratives. They change everything. So when LL came out and told everybody, I was there when he recorded the song and wrote the song, everybody was shocked. And I'm like, who didn't know that? If you know, anybody who know hip hop or who know what was going on at that time knew that that's BS. Biggie wasn't dissing no LL Cool J. He hadn't even come out yet. Why would he be dissing Cool J? He was a fan of Cool J. Cool J had just did 14 shots to the dome. Biggie loved pink cookies in a plastic bag. He even got that in the beginning of one of his songs on Me and My B. The act of making love is, he put that part in there. He was a fan. And for this Bunsu guy, who don't nobody really know, besides he's a writer, as far as his hip hop credibility, you know, I take the Pepsi challenge with my hip hop credibility over any of these dudes. You know how many people have come in? I've made thousands of hip hop videos. You know how many people try to find anything to disclaim me for not knowing me being a phony, a fake, and all this stuff? It's lies and this, and then they run back and just gotta, or they don't come back at all. They'll just say, damn, he was telling the truth. And some be like, man, I gotta give you your props. Dude just said this on the radio station yesterday, and I was like, man, Cino said this 10 years ago. That's my reward. So I don't even got to argue with people because it always comes back full circle. LL Cool J, Biggie Smalls, and Keith Murray was supposed to be on the song Who Shot You. LL was right there when Biggie was writing this song and recording and spitting it. Once Biggie was spitting this song in the booth, ladies and gentlemen, he heard Big zoning out. LL was like, I'm not getting on this record. Nah, homie's hot right now. He's in a zone. Yeah, he's in album mode, so he's in a zone. Yeah, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna be the one not sounding right on the track like that. Nah, He ain't gonna be burning me on the track. No, sir. I can't have that happen. No, I'm gonna sit this one out. Keith Murray jumped in there like I ain't going out. I'm in it. I'm with this track. So Keith Murray stayed and got on there. LL left. He wasn't getting on the track. Keith Murray got on the track. That's why there is a mixtape version where you hear the Keith Murray verse. Keith Murray's verse is actually in the intro of the Mary J. Blige album. Right? What's the 411? The intro? They're listening to the Keith Murray verse because they were going to put it on Mary J. Blige's album, but they considered the song to be too hard. MCA said no. Because Mary J. Blige wasn't Bad Boy, ladies and gentlemen. There was no Bad Boy yet. She was signed to MCA Records. Like I told you, man, there's so many lies that's been told, and it's just so amazing that people don't know the truth about hip hop and what's actually was going on. See, LL Cool J at this time was going through some problems with Def Jam, and not just Def Jam, but his own family and management and all of the things that was going on with people stealing money from him, his best friend, his y'all don't even know that Nas and LL had the same manager at that time. LL Cool J's manager and was his best friend ended up started managing Nas, behind not really behind LL's back, but Nas was his new protege he was working on from Queensbridge, and he just stopped really. He was the co-manager, and LL's father was the manager. Both of them, his name's Brian. So Brian was managing Nas and spending all his time with Nas and wasn't handling the business that he normally handles for LL Cool J. Then he started lying and then was taking money, wasn't making sure taxes was being paid. It's a domino effect when you're not taking care of the business that takes care of you. So when all of this was happening and all of this insanity was going down the drain and all this stuff that they're talking about, right? While they talking all this nonsense and putting it all into to writing, LL was going through some rearranging of his situation. So during all of this that was going on, LL was looking for new representation and management and things of that nature. But at the time, he wasn't able to, his finances was messed up. So he wasn't able to really acquire because Puffy was going to bring him in and he thought Puffy could help him, with his situation and get him to where he needed to be. Because at that time, Biggie hadn't came out yet, but Biggie was seen like he was going to be a hit. He had worked with Jodeci, Mary J. So he was perfect for what LL had envisioned for his next album, to work with Puffy. But, they did some negotiating, and at that time, it wasn't a bad number, but he offered Puffy, price for managing LL Cool J. He wanted the 500,000, and that was just out of LL's budget at the time. It wasn't a bad price; it just was out of his budget, so he couldn't do the 500,000. So they ended up not working together. But that's why he was on the remix of, you know, of what's his name, Flavor in Your Ear and all that, because LL was gonna work with them. So no, he wasn't dissing LL Cool J on none of it. Big wasn't just saying I'm finna destroy LL Cool J. I mean, it was like he was just in an album mode. When some people are in album mode, they're locked in. So when you just coming in and you haven't been really working on an album, you know, this happens. So when the song was finished, he called up LL. So LL thought like it was a problem. So they met him. That's what LL said. He met with Big and he played the song for him in the car and told him, you keep that. Hoping that LL would get on it. He still want LL to get on the track. LL went home and he was writing to it, but nothing he could come up with was good enough. He thought, like, nothing I'm creating is good enough for this. I can't get on this record, man. I'm not in that mode right now. And I'm just not going to be out there, unless I got something that I feel is complimentary to being on that album. And Keith Murray is on that vicious. Whoo! God, Keith Murray verse is so hard, dog. It's the hardest thing on the record. Like that's what I'm saying. Murray loved that beat. He just kept getting harder and harder as the record went. My, jeez. Dog, the way he ended the verse is just like monstrous. Dog, it's the hardest verse. It just kept getting harder and harder. I was like, dang, Murray is just in his bag. So, Keith Murray don't shy away from nothing. That's one thing about him as an MC. Murray didn't shy away from nothing. So there was a lot of other things too that went on that was a bit crazy at the time. But we'll get into that when we get into the LL Cool J stories. Because LL, trust me, LL's out of everybody in the world that I've met, LL Cool J is, can you believe this is my favorite rapper of all times? Is LL Cool J. That's my favorite rapper of all time. That's the greatest of all time. That's before he even said he was the GOAT. And everybody said, that's the GOAT, the greatest of all time, LL Cool J. I knew he was the best. When the Bad album dropped, I said, that's it. That's it. I've never heard nothing like this from rap. The way LL was rapping, nobody was rapping like that. Nobody was using those words in the way he was. His style and energy was unique. You never saw it. And he was 18 years old. And boom, one album, already had an album in the bag, but that album put him at the top. That he was battling the top elite Michael Jackson. His album was nominated up there with Michael Jackson and Anita Baker, Giving You the Best That I Got. There was no rap category, so he was just put in the R&B music category. So he was going up against Michael Jackson. His Bad album versus Michael Jackson's Bad. So it was like, of course, Michael Jackson's gonna outsell him in one day for his total album, but that wasn't the point. He was up there with Michael Jackson. LL met Michael Jackson and they took a picture together. And everybody thought they had beef. It was funny because on Rock the Bells, he say that on the verse. Do you like Michael Jackson? We like Cool J. So this is before the Bad album even came out. And it was like, oh, Michael Jackson made the album Bad to go up against LL's Bad. So it was Michael Jackson versus LL Cool J and all this. So it was on because Run DMC was supposed to be on the Michael Jackson album. It was turning up. But this is what we talk about. This hip hop history. Watch Tougher Than Leather with Run DMC. Run DMC is from Hollis, Queens. They wasn't just some rock guys. These dudes was street dudes. They was from the streets. The people around them, they was from the streets, and that's how crazy it got out there. You know, Tougher Than Leather is them exploited way too much, but it's hilarious to watch. So I watch Tougher Than Leather all the time. Like, it's on YouTube and stuff, but man, it's crazy. Run DMC put out the first real hood movie and got it to motion pictures. Like, it was in the theaters. You got D knocking out cops. You got everything going on. Dog, it's this movie is crazy. You want to talk about Run DMC and Jay running a train on a dude's wife in the movie, man. It's crazy. I mean, it was all kind of stuff people didn't expect to see in a Run DMC movie. Man, Run was coked out half of the time, man, doing the production, the whole nine, man. It was Run was out of it. But that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that on the Patreon. But I do want to say this to people, because I want them to understand it, and I want them to understand fully what's going on. All right? This LL Cool J story that was created by this Bunsu Thompson dude. Where did this guy get this information from? See, these are the people you got to call out. These are the people you got to say, hey, man, who told you that? Y'all be worried about me. Y'all need to be worried about what these dudes are doing. How these guys come by this information. Who told him that? You know what I'm saying? Like, who would tell you something as goofy as LL Cool J was getting dissed by Biggie Smalls because he said a line? That's something that a new age person, somebody that's 22 or 18 or 19, or they going back into hip hop history, they just listening to lines and came up with some out of their head. And I'm like, dude, you have a prestigious position where you could get that information from LL Cool J himself. Better yet, ask Keith Murray. Murray, if you can't get him, ask Keith Murray. Ask LL Cool J if anything I just said in this video is a lie. Ask him. I'm old enough to remember. That's all. I was born then. This is my era. This is my hip hop, my greatest of all time. You know what I'm saying? So I knew everything. I could tell you an LL lyric off the top of my head back then. You couldn't. There was nothing you could tell me. So I would definitely know about this situation. Yeah, so from an MC standpoint, shoot, that was it. There was LL Cool J and nothing else. You see, I didn't clamor to these other people like everybody else do. I didn't care about none of the nonsense. I only care about what was real. If it wasn't real, I didn't want to deal with it. I only dealt with the real. Well, if people do what they're supposed to do, then there will never be any problems. There'll never be any need for any problems. So I had a lot of people brought to the table. There's a lot of people brought around to do certain things or act certain ways. So it don't surprise me. Hip hop is an industry that is come up through a John Doe system, meaning that there was no father to it whatsoever. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. It wasn't considered to be profitable. Banks were turning people down. You couldn't even get anything going, so you had to be independent basically to start. Mostly every rapper was a DJ because you had to scratch your own records and learn that's how you was gonna get a microphone. That's just how it was gonna work. So every rapper back then basically was a DJ. So it just comes from a whole different thing that was like ours. It was from the hood. It was yeah. So yeah, it's nuts. I've seen so many different variations of people who have tried their hardest. Hmm. People keep sending me messages. They've tried their hardest to like get in my way or try to tell me what I don't know about hip hop. I'm not saying I know every single thing about hip hop, but I'm willing to listen. But when I know something is wrong and don't make sense, for me not to call it out, that would be stupid of me. That's wasting your time, your energy. So I'm glad y'all do come to me. I'm glad y'all brought this to me. I'm glad y'all said, hey man, so you know what really happened. Because this one I actually know about off the top of my head. So this could just flow right off like water. So yeah, that was that. Big and LL had no problems. They were buddy buddy. He was not dissing LL Cool J, had no plans on dissing LL Cool J. So so I'm gonna definitely hit you guys back up. Like I said, hit up the Patreon so you can be getting caught up on information you never knew about. Because we're gonna go into a whole story that this has just inspired me to make a Patreon video that's gonna blow y'all mind. So yeah, get ready for that. So yeah, so something great came out of this. Because now I just remembered some connection to this story that really I should put on the Patreon. So you guys, thank you for coming through, support, love, all that. Shouts out to Welcome to HDTV, Kwame Brown Bus Life, Ticket TV, Seahawks Jose Rodriguez, and I'm out the door, man. Love, peace, and hair grease. Oh yeah, shouts out to the GOAT, LL Cool J. LL, you real funny, Carcino.